Do you own a business or thinking about starting a business? Well, then this feature is for you. Today I have with me the Executive Director of the Georgetown Chambers and Commerce, Mr. Richard Rambarran, and it's always a pleasure to talk with him. But today we're going to talk about the Business Development Forum that is coming up. We're all excited about it. But Mr. Richard, before I say anything else, welcome to our special feature. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you, of course, for interviewing me, and I am pleased also to see all of the success that you guys have had. I know we've had a relationship in terms of interviewing, etc., for many years, so I'm happy to see where the company has gone. Congratulations to you guys.
Thank you so much. All right, well, we have many more works to do between the Georgetown Chambers and Commerce and our company as well too in the future, right?
Yes, certainly, absolutely.
All right, so before we go to the forum or the big event that is coming up, could you please tell our viewers about the GCCI, who it is?
Sure. Thank you. So, to your viewers and listeners, the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry is the oldest and largest private sector umbrella organization in the country. What that essentially means is that you have members of the private sector enterprises who essentially would like to be part of our network that join the Chamber of Commerce as members to receive the benefits that we offer. At this point, we're at 133 years old, so since 1889. Additionally, we have just about 700 members, which in a large country, that's small, but in a small country like Guyana, that's a significant portion of the organized private sector. And so that makes us amongst the largest chambers of commerce in the entire Caribbean region. The Chamber of Commerce in Guyana operates in a fashion styled after British chambers of commerce, which means that we do not have government functions. We are funded by the private sector through membership subscriptions, through events, through programs that we operate, etc. And we are for the private sector. Essentially, we operate within the parameters of ensuring that the private sector's voice is heard and it's spoken with under one umbrella. We are oftentimes known as being an advocacy body, but we also do networking events, run a number of private sector development programs, provide opportunities and space for marketing and a platform for marketing. And we often host and field multiple trade missions from a variety of countries, as well as, of course, supporting our private sector enterprises with any assistance that they may need in terms of access to government, access to international community, access to trading partners, etc. So that's just in a nutshell some of the work that we do, a bit about the chamber, and what it is that we're about.
Wow, that's a lot of information, and it shows that how much the GCCI is important in our country as well. Now let's talk a little bit about a big event that is coming up, which is the Business Development Forum. When was it started?
Sure, so the Business Development Forum was started in 2018. That was the first edition. Now the first edition of the forum, essentially we wanted to focus on a roadmap to doing business, a roadmap for development. If you have a small enterprise, or you have even a medium-sized enterprise, or you're thinking about getting into business, how do you firstly enter into business, and then how do you grow? That's where the name Business Development Forum comes from. I mentioned earlier when I was introducing the chamber that we focus quite a bit on lobbying. That deals from a private sector standpoint with the external environment of the firm. What the BDF, Business Development Forum, is actually focused on are the internal dynamics to the firm that help to improve productivity as well as improve efficiency. So that first edition was essentially to provide a roadmap. We came with the second edition in 2019, and we focused on two thematic areas where the audience in the first edition, they really drove home that they wanted more, and they had an appetite for both marketing as well as finance. So we dealt with access to finance in a comprehensive way, as well as an all-encompassing advance or pitch on marketing in the second edition. Now, we knew what happened subsequent to 2019, throughout 2020 and 2021. We were besieged by the COVID-19 pandemic, and the viewers who of course follow the GCCI, they would know that they had seen a number of business development webinars. As you know, the world pivoted to digital, etc., because we really didn't want the brand to stop. So throughout 2020 and 2021, we hosted approximately 15 to 17 webinars that were based on the thematic areas and the areas of shortcoming, if you will, that firms identify they need a gap being filled by way of education. We're back now in 2022, and this year we have responded to what firms want, but we have gone back a bit to the basics in the sense that we really are looking to act at a roadmap for development. So we'll be touching on issues once again. Access to finance remains important, marketing remains important, but we're also adding improving standards and quality. We're also adding doing business in Guyana. How do you generally, what are the institutions? How do you operate? What is it that it means when you say go to the commercial registry, for example? And then fifthly, we're also speaking about opportunities that exist for investment, business growth, and any budding entrepreneur in Guyana. So those are the 5 areas which we're focusing on this year, November 11th and 12th at the Pegasus Corporate Suites, and it promises to be an absolutely riveting event.
And for persons who are also viewing this interview online, and let's say someone in Trinidad or another Caribbean country is looking at it and would want to come into Guyana and, invest, how can they?
Sure. So if you'd like to attend the Business Development Forum, the information is on our Facebook page, it's on our website, any of our social media platforms. Additionally, if I'm not mistaken, the link is gcci.gy/BDF. But if you don't find it there for some reason or my memory has failed, you can always just Google GCCI Guyana Business Development Forum register, and you'll find the information there. We, of course, open this to all members of the private sector, not just the membership of the chamber. We are also open to international enterprises or entities that would like to come to Guyana, establish, understand a little bit about the business community here, and network. We're hoping to have about 500 attendees this year, up from 270, 300 that we've had in previous years. So we're really hoping to make this a big marquee event of the private sector.
Wow, that's huge. All right. Anything else you care to share with our viewers before we go? And before that as well, too, can you just tell our viewers some of the achievement that the GCCI would have achieved for 2022?
Wow, so that, when I'm asked that question, it's oftentimes a very difficult one to answer, because that would mean that I'd have to select. The Chamber of Commerce has been able to rebound strongly from the COVID-19 pandemic. This year we've seen the emergence out of the pandemic and back to some degree of normalcy, whatever prevails subsequently. But the GCCI this year has, of course, fielded and hosted once again a number of missions. We led a mission to Houston, Texas this year. We have a number of upcoming missions that's happening. We have published, of course, our Building Out Guyana 2022 Business Guyana magazine. That, if you've not picked up a copy of that yet, you can pick it up at the Chamber of Commerce. It'll be all around in prevalent locations. You can find that on our website also for a digital copy. But you've asked me a difficult question in that there are a number of achievements. We've continued to host a number of seminars and webinars. We've started something called a Business Breakfast series, which has featured a number of prevalent guests in our society that are pertinent to the business community. The first edition we had Dr. Peter Ramsarup from Go Invest. Second edition, Dr. Ashley Singh, Finance Minister. And then the third edition is upcoming soon. We hosted the Guyana Basin Summit in a couple of weeks back in early October. We're going to be having the Business Development Forum. We're hosting about 5 other trade missions for the remainder of the year. We've hosted Jamaica. We're going to be hosting from the UK 2 delegations. We have a massive annual gala coming up at the end of this year. So it's a continuum of work. I don't want to also overlook the work that we have done in terms of supporting the local content implementation and supporting strongly the secretariat of the local content. and ensuring that the vision which the private sector by way of the GCCI had for local content comes through and really is done within the parameters of fostering local content and local enterprises. So the achievements this year are many, and I'm grateful actually for the opportunity to be part of some of those achievements.
Wow, that's a lot. And just imagine we have 2.5 months more before the year completed.
Yeah.
So I know the GCCI really are outdoing themselves, and you have your work cut out.
Yeah, I think one of the major things which I didn't add is that our membership has actually grown very significantly over the past 12 months. I did not even add in the work that we have done with small businesses. For example, we hosted the inaugural National Small Business Week earlier this year, where we did the Small Business Expo, where we partnered with GTT Business Solutions. We did that massive expo. We did a number of outreaches and webinars for that. And I think that really has been driving our membership numbers, the level of engagement and activity that we have. Enterprises know that when they join the Chamber of Commerce for what's a very nominal fee, you get quite the bang for the buck. And I hope you guys too are members of the Chamber of Commerce. But we've grown from 500 members last year, November, to now 696, just about 700 members, active members in less than 12 months. That moves the needle. We're at minimum double the size of the next closest business support organization in the country. So that really, it sets a new bar. It has been the result of redoubled effort within the Chamber of Commerce to really reach out to the business community and have enterprises come on board and foster the community of enterprise in the country.
And I did ask you about the achievement, but it would be unfair for me to not ask you about the challenges, both from the GCCI and also businesses that come on board. What are some of the challenges, they would face?
Yeah, sure.
May face?
So let me actually start from where I left off. The Chamber of Commerce has become so large that you have members of the Chamber who do not even know their fellow members. What that has done is put us in a position where we have had to up the number of events, whilst of course still taking some degree of precaution as it relates to the pandemic, because we're not totally out of the woods. And we've also had to balance the inflow in terms of, from the Chamber of Commerce's secretariat standpoint, we've had to balance the inflow of revenue from subscription, small events, etc. So really managing the entire COVID-19 pandemic period, how we stayed financially sustainable, because all of these programs that we do, they of course cost money, and we have to have money to do them. So it really is about what the pandemic has done in terms of the business of the Chamber of Commerce. But those are some of the major challenges. We've also tried to innovate more on our mandate at the Chamber. We've recognized that in years bygone, we were seen as being a voice perhaps for big businesses, or a big boys club, as some detractors like to refer to the organization as. But we've made a concerted effort to ensure that no small business is left behind. And so essentially having them come on board and finding ways to retain them, support their growth and so on, has been an avenue that the Chamber has really had to innovate on. I won't say that it's been particularly a challenge, but it's something that we have had to really change the way that we have done things in the past, and foster and understand that micro enterprises have different needs from perhaps larger enterprises. So where we are at this time, I mean, it's a strong position. The leadership of the Chamber of Commerce continues to drive it forward. And I think it's being reflected too in the numbers, in the sense that MSMEs, of that 700 membership that I mentioned, MSMEs comprise about 70%. which means that micro, small, and medium enterprises really do have an overwhelming say or voice in the Chamber of Commerce.
All right, lastly, before we go, just a reminder of viewers or for small businesses or business in general out there, why it is important to get on board with the business development this year.
Sure. So the Business Development Forum will be the premier event for private sector development and for ensuring that you address capacity deficits, capacity gaps, educational gaps, etc. in your business. It's essentially geared towards helping you to understand how your enterprise can become more efficient, more productive, and essentially what you can do from an educational standpoint of yourself, maybe your key staff members, and what you can do in improving the efficiency of your enterprise. Information will also be presented to those aspiring entrepreneurs, not just budding entrepreneurs, but aspiring entrepreneurs who really want to understand the language of business, who really want to meet people in the business community, who really want to understand where it is that I go if I want information or what opportunities are out there for me. So I'm excited about it. I've always been excited about the Business Development Forum, and I hope, of course, your viewers and listeners are excited too.
All right, Richard, thank you so much for taking the time out to having this chit chat with us. And we at Emerald would like to congratulate you and also all the team of the GCCI for all the great works that you guys have been doing for the past years.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate, of course, always your kindness and willingness to engage with the GCCI, and of course, your very candid and pertinent questions. Thank you.
Most welcome. Well, viewers, there you heard it from Richard Rambarran, the Executive Director of the Georgetown Chambers and Commerce, and why it is important to get on board with the business development this year.